All right. It's on the hour. You know what that means? You know what that means? Are you ready for this? You're not ready for this. Ka-chow. It is indeed your baby son. Look at him. He was so little. He's just a little ball of fluff. And he's got his little white peats and triangle tail. He is not little. V is a very large boy. That is still large. That is still large. Also, I don't believe you. I know, look at his tiny feet. They walk around like they're drunk. I love it. Hey, Biggie, what's up? All right, everyone. So, it is TK's Reading Corner. And if you don't have anything else... Hey, Kerf, what's up? So, TK's Reading Corner. If you guys don't have anything else going on, we have coloring book pages available in the Discord. So, go ahead, hop over there, download it, throw it into Paint, slap some color on, do whatever. Have a good time. Like it says in the command, custom coloring book pages are available for 1 coffee, which is $3. It won't be available until probably sometime next week, before next week's story time. But yeah, tomorrow is Friday, and thank goodness. Additionally, we have a giveaway for the book. We will not be starting the book next week because we have Return of the Obra Dinn, but we will be starting the week after that on Thursday, 8 p.m. Show up and we'll have a good time. And then, also, don't forget, next week, we've got Return of the Obra Dinn, old radio style, with the trailer very, very well done by Brett and our good friend Ryan at Downhill Media. So go on, check that out. There's links to both of them in the YouTube video. And now, if you would like to read along with the story that we're reading today... Oh, Curve, thank you. Where's my alert box? Why is it not showing up? Hold on. I don't know. Well, it's there, so I don't know why it didn't show up. But thank you so much for the biddies, Curve. I really appreciate it. Oh, I got a Kelsey subber too. Hold on. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Yeah, I was in there. She's doing the end game in Legend of the Dragoon or something like that. So, who's ready for story time? Oh, good, Kerf. I'm glad. I wanted something back there that was more interesting than Karina sleeping, so... Velo, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the biddies. I really appreciate it. And yes, I do know exactly what it is for. Bread. I love the Velo heart. It was definitely one of my better emotes that I've made, and for a super great person. So, as I said, we're going to be reading a story called Impulse Purchase. I wrote it myself, and... What? Yeah, when he was stuck. So I wrote this myself. Hopefully everyone can enjoy it and not be too distracted by the kitten videos The videos total are only about 13 minutes, so you'll end up seeing the same ones over again. So don't feel like you have to pay too much attention to that. All right. We're going to begin. Impulse purchase. She had green hair. Vibrant green, like golf green. Like she dyed it and then put colored gel in it to make sure it stuck. She had a pink off the shoulder top that was one good spin cycle away from being rags over a blue sports bra, and then wore leggings like she'd fallen out of the 80s. And why the hell was she smoking on my doorstep? Purple smoke curled off the end of her cigarette, but she didn't seem to know how to smoke because she held it like a joint with her thumb and index finger and blew into the filter. I had so many questions, like, where did she even find leg warmers in July? But I settled for a loud, indignant, She turned her head a full 90 degrees to the side, like a puppy, and then stared at me with huge purple eyes. An anime protagonist would tell her to tone it down. Yo, are you Alexandra Jenkins? Why? She stood up, leaving her duffel on my step, and held out her hand. The cigarette was nowhere to be seen. I'm Tesney. Your final payment went through for at-home spirit healing, so here I am. Are you trying to tell me that I spent $60 for some yuppie to come to my house on a Monday night and you know what? I don't care what you're supposed to do. I don't want it anymore. I tried to get past her to my door, but she didn't seem to understand and stood there with a smile and nothing else between her ears. I'm not a yuppie. I'm a fairy, and I have to stay here until your spirit is healed. Well, that was nonsense. You're not exactly fairy-sized. I think by definition, I have to be fairy-sized. Well, we could have had a good old Mexican standoff in front of my apartment, but I was tired and hungry and could probably knock her out with a good right hook. Yeah, whatever. I shoved through to my door and unlocked it. Freeload for a while, I guess. It's not like I have anything to steal. I kicked off my tennis shoes. One landed on a pile of shoes, and the other fell upside down next to it. With a shrug, I threw my purse on the couch and left Tesney to come in, or not, on her own. I yawned. Number 1, I'm home. My smart home system turned on the lights. The speaker in the kitchen called back. Very good, Captain. In 2 seconds flat, my t-shirt, bra, and skirt were on the bedroom floor, and I was wrapped up in my fluffy skull and crossbones pajamas. In the living room, the fairy, or whatever's, bag was on the floor, next to the couch. Her neon green shoes were on the mat next to mine. They looked like authentic 80s chic, complete with rainbow laces. I found her in the kitchen, digging through my fridge. She glanced at me around the door. Even her eyebrows were green. Who's number 1? Sorry, Captain. I didn't understand that. I rubbed my sinuses under my eyes. I forgot to buy allergy medicine at the store. I forgot to go to the store. Mondays. Number 1, play some music. The playlist started, and I leaned against the kitchen counter. He's the computer that runs my apartment. Don't say his name unless... Actually, just don't. Tesney closed the fridge door with her head, since both her arms were full of vegetables. I didn't have leeks, and even if I had had potatoes, I wouldn't have kept them in the fridge. I chose not to think about the cross-contamination from the raw steak on top of everyone else. She dropped it all on the counter and didn't look at me. So he's kind of like Voldemort? You know about Voldemort, but not smart homes? Well, I was trying to make you laugh, but we don't really have them either. In Fairyland? In Wales. I think they have trouble parsing the accent. I didn't know where to start. The Welsh accent she didn't have, the food that didn't come from my fridge, fairies that were real but read books about made-up magic and had no idea how to smoke. Actually, what had she done with that cigarette? I was already towing the line of not getting my security deposit back. Right, well, have fun with that, I guess. I'm gonna watch TV. Number 1, stop. Very good, Captain. She should really be nicer to you, huh? Tesney asked the speaker. I didn't like mornings at the best of times. I really lived that whole creatives are night owl stereotype, staying up until 2 in the morning doodling when I had to be up at 6 the next day. Tesney's dinner knocked me out at 10. It must have had sleeping pills in it because it certainly didn't have leaks. I rolled over and pulled my quilt over my head. Go away. Good morning, Captain, my smart home chirped, like the smarmy jerk I'd named it after. Number 1, turn off the lights. I'm sorry, I am unable to do that at this time. Please log in and check your settings. I rolled myself into a burrito and tipped off the bed. I crawled to my closet like a grumpy caterpillar. When the door opened, I wanted to sink into the floor and decay into mulch. The fairy was still in my house. Oh, the computer wakes you up. That's convenient. Tesney strode in without invitation and tugged my quilt away. Her pajamas had sheep jumping over a fence, but moving like some kind of GIF projected onto the tank top? Maybe she really was a fairy, or maybe I was still drugged. Here, I'll help you make the bed. My bed doesn't need to be made. I pulled on a bra I very clearly remembered leaving on the floor yesterday, and then dragged a shirt over my head. It's summer. I lay down, I pull the quilt up, done. She didn't listen. The quilt was laid smooth, without any of the wrinkles I'd thought were permanently stuck in the fabric. She fluffed my pillows, probably with magic, since they looked twice the size they had last night, and then pulled open my curtains. Look, sunshine is great and all, but I don't want to get robbed. Tesney froze and turned mechanically toward me. I pulled on my socks. The patterns didn't match, but they were from the same novelty pack, so it was close enough. What? There aren't any thieves in Wales? Alex, you live on the 4th floor. How are they going to get in your window? Magic, I snapped. And it's Lexi, not Alex. And why do you sound American if you're from Wales? I tripped while pulling on my skirt, but Tesney wasn't so offended by my question that she didn't catch me. Unfamiliar accents can be grating and cause undue stress. I'm here to heal your spirit, not create more problems. Her expression was soft, with her mouth turned down just at the corners and eyes wide like a small child hoping they'd done well. I made breakfast and tea. You didn't have coffee. I tried to smile. About half my mouth cooperated. I'd think tea was the default for you. My last client was Finnish. Did you know they drink the most coffee per capita in the world? No, I didn't. I walked past her into the dining area. Like last night, only one place was set. And Finnish? Why don't they send someone local? Are all fairies Welsh? No, the other kind of fairy, the fair folk, good neighbors, they're mostly British. I'm a modern fairy. We spontaneously generate wherever enough compatible folklore is taught. She sat on about the only other dining chair and watched she sat on the only other dining chair and looked down to watch the sheep on her shirt. The other kind are nice enough, I guess, but they're so in love with their rules and subverting the rules and politeness, they make me tired. I paused with a spoonful of oatmeal halfway to my mouth. Do you sleep? No. She looked up at me and grinned. But it's cute, right? I love sheep. I dropped the spoon and picked up a slice of an apple. Wait, go back. So if you can generate anywhere, why did I get you and not an American fairy? Tesney shrugged. Outsourcing. Magical outsourcing. Hey, no travel fees. Work wasn't anything special. Not that I knew what I was expecting. Tesney had shown up in clothes from the 80s. She couldn't be expected to understand web design. My teacher said doing art for a living was soul-crushing. But no, I knew better. I was different. I would be fine. I put my forehead on my wrists. I was soul dry, but not so far gone I'd get facial oil all over my tablet. Blip. 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 I glanced at my monitor to check the messages. So much for fairies not knowing about technology. I set aside logical questions like, what is she messaging me from? And how did she get my contact ID? Ahoy! Lexi! Go to the store! Each sentence was its own message. I slipped my keyboard into my lap and set my chin on the edge of my desk to watch as I typed. Can't you just magic food in like yesterday? My mental image alternated between her using a mobile device with one finger and Hutton pecking like an old 90s keyboard with yellowed keys and a sticky right shift. I can't make food appear from nothing. I can only turn it into other food with the same caloric value. I squinted at the message, then sat up and leaned closer to the screen. What? Buy a thing of lard. Best calorie to money value. I had only 20 minutes left before I could leave. Would I spend it asking the internet if lard really had the best caloric to cash value? Yes. What about vegetable oil? I sent back. That doesn't count. It's a cooking tool, not a food. I gaped at the screen. Not that I thought vegetable oil was a food, but apparently the internet did. And she said the other kind of fairy was obsessed with semantics. My programs were still debating whether or not they were going to close without crashing when Tesney sent another message. Don't forget to buy allergy medicine, too. Pretending I had neither seen the message nor forgotten I needed allergy medicine, I logged out of the chat client. I walked to the shop from my office so I wouldn't have to drive against traffic, and then picked up the lard and medicine, and a chocolate bar. 2 chocolate bars. Maybe fairies didn't need to eat, but everyone needed a chocolate bar. The sun was in my eyes the entire drive home, which wasn't any less annoying for being routine. Tesney was upside down on the couch, with her head hanging off the bottom and her ankles hooked on the backrest. She had a tie-dye shirt with a neckline cut out and vibrant purple leggings that were probably spandex. I threw the chocolate bar on her bare stomach. "Welcome home, Lexi!" "Welcome home, Captain," the smart home echoed. If that thing breaks the next time a system update rolls out, I expect Red Door to buy me a new one. I put my hands on my hips, and the lard swung into my leg, bruising my calf. I dropped the bag and readopted the pose. Noted. She sniffed the chocolate bar. "Oh, this one is real chocolate." I carried the groceries into the kitchen. "What kind of plebe do you take me for? Also, you can smell the difference?" Nibbling on the chocolate bar, she came in behind me. "No, but magic doesn't look like anything, and it makes people uncomfortable if they don't see me doing something." Dubious, I set the lard down on the counter. My kettle and boxes of teas were still strewn about, as were the dishes from before Tesney arrived, but the ones she'd used were cleaned, and something looked off. Like the counter had been scrubbed spotless underneath the mess. That was a later problem. I cleared my throat. "So, why can you turn lard into a steak? Steak is way more expensive." "Yes, but food's inherent value is in the calories, even more than the vitamins and whatever else humans need. For clothes, it's how fashionable something is. Usually, I go to the back of a client's closet and find something old that's trendy again." I made a show of looking her up and down. "I don't exactly trust you to be up on fashion." "You don't have to. Magic tells me how fashionably valuable something is. One crop top can be worth 10 novelty teas." She glowed with excitement. Literally. I was a little afraid her hair would catch fire or something. "Right. Well, why did you clean the counter without cleaning the counter?" Her gaze snapped up and away. "I didn't clean the counter." Both eyebrows raised, I stared at her like she was some kid I was babysitting who'd colored on the wall and still held the crayons. "Most people don't see under the clutter. I won't clean up your messes. That doesn't help your spirit because it'll just get messy again. But I can do the little annoying stuff most people don't notice, like dusting the mini blinds." "Mini blinds get dusty?" "Exactly." "Well, thanks, I think." Pushing one of the boxes of tea, I sighed. "You can make cooked food instantly, can't you? That thing with the leeks and the raw meat, that was just because it makes people uncomfortable?" I waited for her to nod. "All right, then I guess I'll clean this up before you make dinner." "You're great. I wish all of my clients picked it up as quickly as you. Usually they try to talk me into cleaning everything." I didn't bother clarifying that it just wasn't worth the effort to try to convince her. Life with Tesney went. Not worse, not better, just life. She woke me up in the morning, told me what to buy at the store, and then made me sit outside for an hour on the weekends. I already had a routine. I didn't need a new one, but the company was nice. What was less nice was being bullied into a cleaning schedule. Monday was laundry, so I could sleep on fresh pillowcases, which almost made up for doing chores on a Monday. Were they still chores when you were an adult living on your own? I considered that and bit into an ice cream sandwich that started life as an ice cream sandwich and not lard. Not that I could taste the difference, but supposedly I needed to get in the habit of buying regular food. I'd fed myself for years without starving, but I wouldn't complain. Well, I complained plenty, but always ended up doing what she wanted. I sat on the arm of the couch and looked down at Tesney's face. Something about being a fairy meant she could only lay on couches, and only upside down. I waved the treat at her. So what's next on the docket? Finger painting? Tesney blinked, and it changed the lighting in the room. Isn't that what you do for work? I laughed. I laughed, and then choked on a sob and cried. Using both hands, I wiped off my cheek, but I kept crying. I gasped, "It's not even that funny! Why am I laughing so hard that I'm crying?" She rolled off onto the floor and pulled me onto the couch. Her arms held me tight, and she half sat on my lap. "Hey, it's okay. It's okay to feel. It's okay." I couldn't stop. My body shook, and my throat hurt, and my nose wouldn't stop running either. What's wrong with me? Nothing. Nothing's wrong. It's okay. This is just the magic working. You can feel again. I hate this. I hate this. Take it back! My chest ached from sobbing. My eyes felt dry and crusty, even as the tears kept falling. "Where's my ice cream?" Tesney brushed my hair back and pulled away. "I'll get you a new one, okay? I'll have one too. And then we can watch a movie." I pulled my legs up onto the couch and tucked them under my skirt. With my chin resting on my knees, I nodded. We were sitting in the park to fill my sunshine quota for the week. She sat cross-legged on a picnic blanket she made out of a ratty old t-shirt. The blanket was red and white hatch and nearly a centimeter thick. It was, without question, the best thing I owned. Dare I ask how this ranks on the fashion scale? Tesney had wrapped herself up in it like a cloak and smiled at me. "It's a blanket! The value isn't fashion!" I'd squeezed the fabric between two fingers, then frowned. It was light and floaty like bubble wrap or spray foam crack filler. Then I slipped my entire arm under the fabric, but it did nothing to warm me. "So is it, insulation?" She released the blanket and clapped her hands together. "You get it! Oh, I love it!" "I guess." I picked it up and folded it. It was too large to fit in my bag, so I hugged it to my chest. "And you can just pick the design and texture and everything?" "Exactly. The only thing I can't choose is the value, so in this case, how well it insulates." "But if I needed a blanket for like a costume party, it would have to be really ugly?" "Yes! Isn't it great?" She laughed, hugged me, and then dragged me out of the apartment. Back in the present, she said, "We should host a party." That was new. Her instructions usually came in the flavor of, "You should do this." Did that mean this wasn't related to healing? I ruminated on that while the sun tried to sneak through my closed eyelids. "I assume you'll magic up the food instead of making me cook it." "Yeah, party prep won't really help your spirit. It does for some people. I love those clients. It's like going to fairyland, but without all the manners." "You love all your clients, Tesney." "Well, yeah, the point is to make sure they know it." Fuck. My eyes watered. I rubbed them with my fists like I was trying to get sand out. It was so stupid. Plenty of people loved me. My family, that one ex-girlfriend from art school, my friends. I groaned. "You just want me to call my friends." "I don't just anything." A shadow passed over my face, and then I felt her hair. "But yes, that's one part of it. So we'll go get a lot of lard and Mystic Magician's Myriad Mixture." "Excuse me?" I opened my eyes and blinked at the brightness, but, of course, her expression was completely serious. "What the hell is a Mystic Magician's magical mixture?" "Myriad Mixture." "What?" "Cocktails and mocktails are valued differently from other drinks. Do you want to guess?" I closed my eyes and sat up. I rubbed them again, this time to actually get the sand out. Staring at the grass, I considered the option. Sugar's probably close enough to calories. You wouldn't be so pleased with yourself about it. So, well, it can't be alcoholic content either, because you specifically said mocktails were in the same category. And mystical, magical, whatever. Sounds like a kid's drink anyway. So colors? How colorful it is? And the wavelength does it? And whatever it is really violet? Ooh, that's clever. If I ever talk to magic, I'll suggest it. Did I want to know how one spoke to magic? Did I want to ask how one spoke to magic? Yes. Did I? No, because we wouldn't be able to go to the store until she finished explaining, and we only had 6 hours until it closed. Thanks. So, what is it then? She held the tips of her fingers to her lips. Her eyebrows were so high with joy that they disappeared under her fringe. How silly the name is! How silly the... But... How... I flailed my hands at her. 6 months wasn't nearly long enough to understand magic. At least, not when I couldn't use it myself. Wait, 6 months? I looked up at the sky, as if the clouds spelled out the date. Well, the leg warmers made sense now, at least. Isn't that... That's subjective, isn't it? You didn't say that about fashion. I had one finger held up, but dropped it. Well, there's... What is it? Haute couture? That's not how that's pronounced. I rolled my eyes and stood up. How do you say it then? It's haute couture. That's what I just said! Tesney repeated herself and folded up the blanket. I shot back my own pronunciation, and we walked to the store, shouting haute couture at each other. When we made it back to the apartment, we both shouted, "Number 1! How do you pronounce haute couture?" I'm sorry, Captain. I don't understand that. We looked it up on the internet. We were both wrong. My table groaned under the weight of 2 red velvet cakes, 5 dozen cookies in a rainbow of flavors and colors, cups of dirt and worms pudding, which also functioned on the silly name value, and chocolate-covered strawberries. The only non-dessert food was several pizzas covering my kitchen counter, kept piping hot with magic. Pitchers of mocktails sat interspersed with it all. Some of them had red bands to signify they were alcoholic, but that was just a lie. They tasted alcoholic, but thanks to a little finger wingling, they wouldn't inebriate anyone. Tesney stood next to me in the center of the chaos, wearing a cheetah print blouse with shoulder pads that threatened to take someone's eye out. I put my arm around her. You know, you're not very good at visual analogies. What are you talking about? Didn't you see my I don't give a fox pajamas? I had them on this morning. Puns aren't analogies. Says who? I'm just saying that at some point you should have switched to 90s fashion, and then into Jinko jeans and chokers, and then dressed like a normal person for this. I glanced at the clock. Still time before my guest arrived. I picked up a strawberry and bit the end off. Tesney put her hands on her hips and cocked them at an angle, with her shoulders twisting the other way in an exaggerated pose. Why should I have done that? Okay, I meant metaphor, not analogy. But as a visual metaphor for my spirit healing progress, you're leaving tonight, aren't you? I held the strawberry to my mouth and wrapped my left arm around my stomach. Well, She stomped her feet. That's too much all at once. She huffed, lifting and dropping her shoulders. The visual metaphor is clever in a narrative sense, but healing isn't linear. You don't just get a teeny bit better and a teeny bit better until it all stacks up and you're fine. That would be misleading and upsetting if you'd noticed early on and then had a bad day. It's just not how it works. I was just making a joke. I didn't think there was that much thought in it. And yes, I am leaving, but I'm not happy about it. I'm not giggling behind my hands like I'm gonna play one last joke. This job sucks. I spend months making you feel better, and then we don't even get time to hang out, and hold on. Why do you have a job anyway? You don't need money. I smacked my forehead and then regretted it because I had chocolate on my fingers. I wiped it with a napkin, but I could feel just smearing around. I can't believe I never asked. It's how I recharge my magic, but healing isn't linear, so it's really complex, and that's not the point. I'm gonna miss you. She hopped forward and hugged me tightly. I'm gonna miss you too, Tess. Can't you at least still, text me with your magic phone? Visit between other jobs? She pulled away and pushed some of my hair behind my ear. I can message you sometimes. It's complicated. Fairies don't experience time the same way humans do. We kind of only exist when we're needed, but you'll know I care. I wouldn't let you backslide because you miss me. Thanks, because I will. Miss you, that is. Backslide, Well, probably not, but it's not linear, right? Right. I'll be good. These habits are a pain, but it's better. I hate that it's better because this is a lot of work, but it is better, and I like me now. Tears dribbled out of the corners of Tesney's eyes, large and shining like some cartoon. She pressed our foreheads together. I like you now, and you before, and you in the future, okay? You don't have to be perfect to be loved. I know. I didn't before, but now I do. I'll go visit my parents for Easter, too. I told myself I didn't go for Christmas because I didn't know if you could travel, but we both know that's a lie. I rubbed our cheeks together. Maybe I'll give my brother some pointers. Yes! Do that! I get extra magic that way. I laughed. She laughed. We were a big mess of laughter and tears, but it was good. I felt good, and for the first time in my life, I was confident the feeling would stay. Tesney never did end up messaging me. The morning after she left, I found a painted wooden box on my couch. A note in her curly handwriting said, "For that yearly planner you bought." Inside the box were stickers. Little cute animals in pastel colors or with silly captions. My initial instinct had been to save them. The box only had 2 sheets. But I didn't. I trusted myself not to regret using them. I didn't. As long as I put the partially used sheets back in the box, the stickers regenerated, like they were hiding behind cover. I didn't notice the selection change, but when I did an end-of-year review, I saw the stickers from February weren't still available on my sheets. It made me cry, and I didn't know how to explain to my girlfriend why stickers made me cry, but it was good. I'm still good. And that's the end of the story. What do you guys think? Karina, are you still sleeping? You're still sleeping.